To better understand why wildfires are becoming increasingly recurrent in Central America, I visited the Honduran National Institute of Forest Conservation and Development, based in the capital, Tegucigalpa. I arrived during a ceremony in which a local foundation called Liquidamba turned in donations to this forest fire brigade, such as filtered masks, blowtorches, flashlights, and other useful utensils. Delma Torres, who had been with the wildfire brigades for over 10 years, tells me that the majority of the wildfires in Honduras are triggered by locals who try to burn entire areas to make way for construction in the outskirts of the cities, and usually these individuals are neither careful nor experienced with fire, and it quickly gets out of control. But Delmer says that in the past decade, the impact of climate change has turned these failed urbanization efforts into big fires because the global warming related heat and drought allow them to spread faster and cover more territory. As we were looking out into the city, he quickly noticed a white smoke appearing on the horizon, and that's how quick fires start in this area. Using NASA satellites, the center can surveil specific areas through a digital system called FIRMS, which sends alerts when it detects a strong heat signature within a certain area. This system is vital to stay ahead of the wildfires and respond while they're still in their beginning stages. These brigades are also now being trained to work in reforestation efforts across the whole country. And here below the operations center building, the ICF has a small garden where they grow different types of trees to be replanted in the affected areas during the winter. The ICF has more than 100 of these little gardens spread throughout Honduras. The leader of the squad, Alejandra Rodriguez, handed out contracts to locals who were hired as local fire brigades to respond immediately to or work preventively against wildfires in their specific area. Only moments after the squad was done cutting the fern and handing over the equipment to the recently contracted local team, they were called out to a fire that had gone out of control. Everyone jumped into the pickup truck and we headed over to the area of Tamara, on the outskirts of Tegucigalpa. As soon as we arrived, the squad linked up with local brigades who had attempted to tame the fire, and they assessed the situation. The main challenge for the team was to identify the extent and the speed of the fire and to figure out how to safely get behind the flames to fight them. What surprised me most about being out there with the brigade was the unpredictability of the fire. The wind, especially around the small hill we were working on, changes constantly. One moment you are upwind and the fire is moving away from you, and the other moment you are downwind and the fire jumps at you. Also, the tricky terrain makes it very hard to move quickly. The fern covers the rocky ground so you cannot see where you're stepping. In the burned areas, the ash also lays on top like a huge rug covering what is below. After some hours, it became apparent that they would not be able to stop the fire quickly. So the squad leader decided to lay something they call a counterfire. In a counterfire, one person in the brigade starts a fire that moves downwind to the actual fire line. The idea is that when both fires meet, the scorched earth of the counterfire will stop the fire line from continuing, so it finally just burns off. After about 6 hours, darkness started to settle. Alejandra, the squad leader, ordered everyone to get off the mountain and return despite fire lines still continuing and another fire further away burning bright. When I met the team the next day, they started passing around a list of people with damaged or lost equipment from the night before. The extreme heat had partly melted their boots and dissolved the glue attaching the soles to them. Generally, these wildfires greatly affect the Honduran population, especially during the dry summer times. The heavy smoke and the quick and destructive flames put many people, especially the poor on the outskirts of the cities, at a very high risk of being affected by the smoke or the destructive fire. But this brigade showed me that with solid responsive preventive methods, even though fires become more frequent, the overall affected space can be decreased.